Welcome, everyone, and I'm very glad that you can join us today. My name is Meg Adams, and I'm the Central Regional Coordinator of the Indiana State Library's Professional Development Office. I will be the host and question moderator for today's webinar, which is AI for Librarians, Saving Time and Boosting Efficiency. If you have questions during the webinar, we will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. At the end of the presentation, you may enter your questions in the chat. Today's presenter is Treg Hopkins, co-founder of Connectable, which is an Indiana-based nonprofit committed to enhancing adult education programs across more than 20 states through advanced data systems and artificial intelligence. We are so happy that he's here with us today. After this webinar has been transcribed, it will be available on the Indiana State Library's archived webinars page. If you are watching an archived recording of this presentation, information on how to obtain your LEU is in the video's description and YouTube. For weekly updates on upcoming trainings and to learn more about what's happening in libraries across the state, please subscribe to the Indiana State Library's e-newsletter, which is the Wednesday Word, and check our continuing education website for other professional development opportunities. So let's get started. Without further ado, thank you so much for being with us today, Treg. I'll hand the presentation over to you.
Excellent. Thanks, Megan. And thank you, everyone, for joining us again today on What's Up Wednesday. I'm excited to be back. This is our third session on AI. We have one more coming up October the 8th, and would love to have you join us there as well. If you missed the others, you're welcome to go back on the Indiana State Library website, and you can watch the recordings there. I'm live in New Orleans this week, which means that I don't have my fancy 4 monitors. I am working objectively from just 2. So I'm going to keep my camera off for most of it, but I kind of always try to give a shout out to my library experience since the last time that we met, and this time it came on my way down here actually. A little free library in the train station actually provided me a lovely read on the way down. So little free libraries are all throughout the country, and I take advantage of them. Oftentimes I can find them in an Amtrak station, so excited for that. Also here in New Orleans, I had a cool experience a couple of days ago. Something that's just kind of meaningful to me, rather. But Ruby Bridges, her birthday was just a couple days ago. She turned 71. And of course, it was just such an interesting story to hear from her. I got to watch a clip on the news of her speaking, and she was just discussing what it was like for her as a child in 1960 to go through desegregation and to be the first Black child to integrate into a white public school here in New Orleans. And she said it was interesting because her parents didn't tell her anything about it or that it was going to be kind of a big deal or anything. She just knew that she was going to school and it seemed normal to her. And she said that for the most part, the kids treated her normal as well. So I hope that our libraries can be equally welcoming to our community, and just thought it was a neat story to hear that, you know, her parents just told her she was going to school. So I love that. All right, well, today our topic is artificial intelligence for librarians, and that means that most of you are probably wearing that hat or a hat similar to that. We're going to talk today about saving time and really boosting efficiency. Again, so I'm not like up here in the camera while I'm changing slides and things like that. I am going to keep my camera off for the most part, but just know that I'm here and it is live. We're not using some fake AI to assist you in this, although we could do that. We won't this time. All right. Well, good morning again. I'm excited really just to be here with you for another edition of talking about artificial intelligence, what it's doing for our local libraries. And today our topic, it's been buzzing everywhere, artificial intelligence itself. But instead of looking at AI as some like futuristic or sci-fi way, I want us to think about it in a way that can help librarians right now be able to save time and to be able to boost efficiency. Whether it's through things like task automation, where you're able to take those repetitive things that you're doing every day and to free yourself up to more high impact activities like helping the patrons, or if you're just enhancing your workflow itself, being able to really analyze what it is that you do and then to streamline that process to be able to improve your efficiency, as well as just improve the experience for the people that are utilizing the library itself. And then the proven results. We're going to talk about how artificial intelligence can really cut interlibrary loan delivery times by about 50%, according to the latest library journal. And it can assist us by giving us access to more material in a quicker pattern. So we'll talk more about that as well. Now, being able to wear many hats is really what librarians are known for, right? So you're researchers, organizers. I sometimes look at you as guides. You could be educators, of course, and even tech troubleshooters at times, even when we don't like that, or even when we feel like that's not in our wheelhouse. How many times do you get asked questions about the technology? But most days, the reality is that there's just simply not enough hours to do everything that you need to do. And that's really where artificial intelligence is able to step in. So, we talked last time about natural language processing, and today we can talk about that from a point of automatic metadata creation. So we touched on that, and as we are looking at efficiency this week, we're actually taking that knowledge and we're applying it here to say, you know what, we can actually use this to improve accuracy and consistency for our patrons. It's going to help us reduce those manual errors. So things even like our card catalog and being able to digitize past material or historical information. I saw somebody mention that they were from the Indiana room. Being able to take some of this information and really apply it in your library in the cataloging aspect, it can help you create something that's really unique, meaning that your community, your library can access your material in record speed and in a conversational pattern. So you don't have to know some cryptic language in order to be able to discover it. I remember when I was in high school, we were still using the old card catalog, and of course, we would have to take out for research, like and write down, a particular order of where things were located in the library. And it was a little bit cumbersome to be able to do that, and it was learning a new code. Today, a lot of our libraries are able to do that on a computer and actually show you on a map exactly where the book is located. And I attended Liberty University out in Virginia. We had an incredible library there. It even had a robotic catalog system, so we could type it in, and a robot would go out, retrieve the book, and bring it back to us. And I don't want to date myself but that was at least more than a decade ago. So these activities and automation and robots and things, they've been going on for a long time. Artificial intelligence is a tool that's really helping us even further that cause. So something like Follett Destiny AI, it actually helps us predict the demand intelligently, where we know what people are wanting and how much of it and what specifically within a text they are looking for. So it can really help us in a lot of different ways interact with our patrons. It can save you hours weekly for that collection curation. Now, I want you to be able to think of AI in a lot of different ways. I do want it to mostly feel behind the scenes, like a behind the scenes assistant. If you've had to call me, you know that my behind the scenes assistant, her name is Lucy. She's my artificial intelligent assistant, and she can have conversations in multiple languages and help you know where I am and what I'm doing. And that can be a little bit confusing even for me to keep up with. So it's nice to have someone like Lucy around. Just like that, answering a phone call, it can actually help with any repetitive task. So it can handle those repetitive tasks like cataloging, metadata tagging, or even answering common patron questions. I have a knowledge base that Lucy is able to respond and tell you, like, oh yeah, here's his email address, and he's not available today, he's out at a conference, and things like that. So it's going to help you answer those common patron questions as well. And that allows you to focus on the work that really needs your expertise, because AI is not replacing you, it's actually complementing you, and it's providing you more access, or more time rather, to spend the time with the people. So connecting people with knowledge, that's the main goal that I see as what AI can accomplish for our librarians. AI chatbots, for example, can help people manage just routine reference questions 24 hours a day. So providing after-hour services that's just beyond a website, but literally acting as if you've got a team working for that patron at all hours of the day. Particularly in the university setting, the school settings, it's a really positive way to interact with your patrons. And the more naturally speaking it becomes, the more real it feels for them. So they actually can see that, this is something that you care about and that you've put time into, which means it does require your abilities, your time, that transfer of knowledge and data into the chatbot, into that knowledge base in order to actually feel more real. So while you spend your time on deeper research or even like programmatic activities, AI can actually do a lot of the support for the patron in terms of answering questions, finding material, and really making sure that it's also looking for things through the lens of understanding bias and looking at ethical dilemmas. It can critically think in those ways to kind of assist you in ways that maybe you didn't really have the time to spend with each of the patrons. So I hope that it provides more time and that you spend a little bit of time investigating what chatbot might work for you and your patrons. Again, it's really about accessibility, which the library has, in my world, always been impacting. Now, let's also not forget about collection management. AI can actually kind of curate and personalize recommendations. It can recognize for each of your patrons then patterns. What is it that they like to read, or when do they come in? And it can start to analyze borrowing trends, helping you decide what you should buy more of and what might be collecting dust. And it goes beyond data analytics. It's actually looking deeper than just how many times has this been checked out and what genre are we looking at. I know we have some predictive analysis of that already. Maybe it's a manual process still for you or your library. Artificial intelligence can take either of those and give you more insight. So you can upload things like a spreadsheet where you're keeping track of these things, or a database, and you can say, take a look at this. Let me know what I'm missing, or figure out how can I engage with these people more, and tailor collections that are actually boosting the engagement around the community interests. It can help drive your programming and help you figure out, based on what people are reading, what speakers should you have in from the community that can discuss those topics and engage the crowd at that level. And if your parents or the parents are interested in one topic, how do we introduce children to a similar topic to provide more commonality, and vice versa? If you see that a lot of your youth are actually reading about a particular topic, how do we engage grandma and grandpa and get multi-generational discussion within the family, strengthening our families? It's that kind of data-driven insight that helps us figure out where we should be spending our time and where we should be spending our money. It helps makes budgets really stretch further, and then shelves, it makes them more relevant, which is, I think, something we're all trying to accomplish. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is kind of the tool that I particularly use to help myself prioritize. And I was thinking about it. I speak a lot about this at educational conferences, at business conventions, and things like that. And it's called the Eisenhower Matrix. Maybe it's something that you're familiar with. It's also sometimes called quadrant prioritization. It looks at tasks through four different lenses. The first is the priority one, or category one, quadrant one. That means that these things are urgent and important. And I usually have an activity that I do when this is in person where I pass out a bunch of post-its and I have you write down all of the things in life that you have to do, and then to organize them. And people often kind of miscategorize quadrant one. Many times they'll put things in there like, oh, I've got to feed the kids and I've got to pay the bills. And I explain to them that that means that it's urgent and important. It's basically an emergency. It says, I should drop what I'm doing and take care of this right away. living in quadrant one is what many people are struggling with in our society, is that these tasks that could be more proactive are placed into an urgent and important activity. So the reality is that if feeding your kids was a priority one or quadrant one, it actually means that they're facing medical starvation, that things have gotten really desperate, and that would be an emergency. It means that we would have to drop what we're doing and take care and feed our children. At the same time, paying the bills looks like the electric company is there right now outside of your door, ready to shut off your utility. That would be urgent and important. It requires you to stop what you're doing and to take care of it right away. Rather, those activities are more focused in quadrant two, which means these things are urgent, or these things are important, but they're not urgent. That's really where most of us should live. Things that we handle the things that are important, but not urgently because we're ahead of it and we're trying to stay ahead of it. So that's where librarians can apply the Eisenhower matrix to make this AI integration more strategic and less overwhelming. Being able to divide these tasks then and recognize, okay, is this something that I should stop and drop what I'm doing, the urgent and important, or is it not urgent, but it is important? These are things that we must do, but we're proactively working on them. Of course, there's quadrant three, which are things that are urgent but not important. They're going to happen, but it doesn't really matter if you're there or not. Maybe this webinar is one of them because it is recorded. It started at 10 a.m. Eastern. But if you couldn't get it to it until the afternoon, well, you're always welcome to listen to it later. It could also be something like catching a bus, but it's not a bus that you need to be on, or going to the movie. The movie's going to start at 11, but you're at work. So while it's urgent, it's going to happen. It's at 11. It's not important. It's not on your table. Sometimes it's nice to be able to recognize the urgency of others, but that it's not our importance or our urgency, that it belongs to somebody else. And then quadrant four, the things that aren't urgent or important. These are the items in the library that you just really enjoy, and you enjoy it for no other reason other than it's fun. You like doing it. Is it part of your job? Maybe, but it doesn't always have to be. It's just something that you're passionate about, that you enjoy doing. And the reality is, when we clear the items from quadrant one, we have time for the items in quadrant two. We have time for the items if we decide to drop what we're doing and to go enjoy a quadrant three activity, we're able to do that. At the end of the day, if we just want to have some fun and we just want to do something that we care about, we have room for quadrant four as well. So the Eisenhower matrix, if you use it with artificial intelligence, it can really help you clarify, where do we start? So, for example, an urgent and important task might include using AI to be able to streamline time-sensitive reference requests, or to even automate overdue notice reminders. Perhaps you already have a database that's doing that. These are the areas that really show that immediate payoff by reducing the workload stress for you, and those little repetitive activities that they are important. They do need done, and some of them are even urgent. But let's not put you into the quadrant one activity. Let's let AI handle that for you. So, meanwhile, important but not urgent tasks, well, they could be projects like experimenting with AI for cataloging or curating digital exhibits. These require planning and even training, but they offer that long-term efficiency, and those gains without the pressure of that immediate deadline can be really impactful. Now, I use ChatGPT to help me with this, so that's kind of the tool that I'm talking about for this. But remember that ChatGPT, it is just a supplement. It's not to replace the human expertise and that critical thinking. It's to assist you, right? So the more information that you provide it, the better off it is. And we do want you, as a librarian, to be able to use the matrix to avoid getting sidetracked by this less valuable applications, right? Tasks that are urgent, but that they're not important, like testing every new AI tool out there that pops up. Well, that can be delegated to perhaps some interns or a team of people or some volunteers or even patrons to be able to say, here, give me an initial review. Here's a new thing that we could look at. What do you think about it? And that could be something like being able to use it for content creation, like generating summaries, drafting recommendations, or even communication, and even brainstorming program ideas. But the way that I use this tool is really being able to map out the possibilities in a unique way. So I kind of have this conversation with my chatbot. And you can name it anything you want. So you could just say something like ask a librarian, and then you could name it librarian. So people could say, hey, librarian, where is this? Or hey, librarian, summarize what this text means for me. But you can use it in whatever way you want. So I've got this one that I use where I pull in my calendar and then my email and everything that comes up throughout the day so that it can help prioritize for me. If you've tried to reach out to me in the last week, you probably didn't get a response because it recognized that I was out of the office and that I asked it to pause all communication. So there were some on a priority list. Megan, you were one of them. I knew that you might need to reach out to me regarding this webinar. So what I did was I prioritized the people that I wanted to be able to get through, and all the rest, well, they can wait until I get back on Monday. This allows you to take time out of your office as well. So if you are able to program it in a way that say, okay, here are all the activities that I need to do. And then while I was out of the office, here are all the messages that came through. Prioritize for me, who do I respond to today? And then I can even ask it to go ahead and start drafting responses based on what it knows about me and what I do and the questions that are being asked. It has access to my knowledge base. It is supplementing my expertise, the critical thinking skill set. So it's able to kind of come up with these things on its own. I use something for my email called Fixer, and Fixer allows it to kind of sort through things and respond back so that it knows this is what would be helpful. So Fixer is a email response and organizer that uses the Eisenhower matrix. It looks for a prioritization. It recognizes what is it that you need from me, and then is the chatbot able to provide it, or that intelligent agent for email. Now, myself, again, I use mostly ChatGPT to do this. So I throw in new activities as they come out throughout the day. And I'm like, okay, this person just called, and it tells me, do I call them right back or do I wait until 3 p.m.? It knows kind of when I've been able to get a hold of them before versus when I've left a voicemail, because I include that information in my daily routines as I'm thinking about my contact management strategy. I'm looking and observing those situations. So ChatGPT is kind of doing that for me, and I actually just use it as a companion. So I'm going through and I'm talking about it, and just having conversation. I'm saying, okay, now my mom wants to know if I can do dinner on Thursday, and I've got this appointment on at 6 p.m. to talk about AI, and I've got a doctor's appointment on Monday at 10 a.m. And keep me organized, help me understand where my prioritization is. The more information that you provide to it, the better it is at these activities. So that's how I use the Eisenhower matrix. That's how I kind of formulate what it is on a day-to-day basis and how you can start to use it as well. If you're not sure what to use or when to do it or how, start with something like ChatGPT that allows you to have conversations. It can be verbal, so it has the ability to listen through a microphone and you can talk to it naturally. Remember, the more naturally you speak to it, the more naturally the results are going to be, and the more it gets to know you and the way that you speak. So then when you do ask it to generate a summary, it sounds like you, not you, but like you. And it makes it easier to edit. It makes it easier to be able to draft out this communication, and kind of it starts to think in a way that's very similar to how you think. So we've got some case studies, of course, that you can look through. I took a couple of quotes of some of the librarians. Most of these are school librarians, and how it's been able to help them. But Shannon Miller, for example, said that AI deepens student librarian connections. And I love that, being able to hand routine tasks, allowing more meaningful interactions. That's what I think is so important about artificial intelligence. That's what I hope one of your takeaways might be is that it can help you. It might be able to help you go through and speed up search and discovery. It might be able to dig through endless databases that you don't have time for. It might be able to help you summarize results or spot those patterns that we talked about. And it might even be able to suggest materials that you might have overlooked. There's so many times that I'm moving so fast that I know that I overlook things. So it helps us. It's kind of the reminder or the prompt back. And that means faster answers for patrons and fewer headaches for you, which is always nice. So as we go through and we kind of understand, well, what are we doing? We're trying to spend the time in the right places. That's really what we're trying to do. So that's that improving the workflow efficiency. And we don't want to forget that our collection management can be utilized in the same way, that AI can analyze those trends and again help us decide, well, what do we do and where do we spend the money? Now, that doesn't mean that AI is replacing you. It's not replacing the librarian. Not at all, in fact. AI, as I mentioned in a previous one, I used the example of it's a lot like a calculator. It is powerful, but it still needs human judgment. Librarians are able to bring things to the table that AI just simply does not have. Will it ever have it? I don't know. But I know that right now, it still needs you to bring stuff like context to the table, empathy, and the ability rather to be able to teach people how to evaluate the information critically. Now, can it do the evaluation? Perhaps. But it needs you to understand and to input, well, how do we do it from a critical standpoint? AI can help you free up your time so that you can do more of that work, but it does require your input. So being able to really understand the capabilities of AI, but also the limitations is extremely important. To recognize that just as we have bias, AI can have bias as well, and it can be trained to have bias. It can also be trained, though, to remove bias. So keep that in mind is that if you feel like something is one-sided, or if your fear of implementing AI might be related to some of these limitations, that you can actually start to train it, to remove that bias, to take it away, or to look at it through a different lens and to provide four different perspectives. You can even code it to tell it what perspectives to take. So if you're doing a strategic planning session with your team, and you don't have somebody there that's a patron, or if you don't have a particular community member there that's maybe a big supporter, you can say, okay, I want you to act as if you are a elementary school patron of the local library, and it knows what local library you're talking about because you've been working with it already. It's got a lot of your context. It has the data behind it. So it really starts to understand their perspective. And you can ask it to fill in, right? When somebody can't be there, to think a little bit like that role, and it can start to do it. There's lots of ethical implications, and I think some of them have to be considered from the role of the librarian specifically. Just like an educator that has to consider, okay, now that we're using generative AI, what constitutes plagiarism? That's a topic I have to speak on a lot, and it can be really confusing. And I think there's lots of agreement and disagreement on when it should be used and how it should be used. And how do we provide credit for it? In the same way that do we provide credit for a calculator or for a spreadsheet that figured out a formula, or for Google when we find the answer on Google? Are we all good at citing it, or does it just become our own information? At what point is knowledge transferred? In the same way, we might start asking ourselves about generative text and, well, when is it transferred? When does it sound enough like us and typing and that tool that it becomes our own writing? Because it does require communication. It does require writing prompts. It does require understanding how you're going to communicate with AI to be able to get it exactly what it is that you're looking for. The output, well, it's still important. Now, as an educator role, the librarians are able to guide patrons in responsible engagement and digital literacy. It's the call to action, from my standpoint, is If our libraries aren't opening their doors and teaching people how to utilize artificial intelligence, what it is, not just the good things, but the bad things, to be able to provide real world action, to host a workshop. Some of you have workshops scheduled with me already where we're going to come in and we're going to talk about how to use AI and what does it look like. And we're going to have examples and project-based learning so that you're actually applying it. That's what we're looking for you to do in your own community, to host those types of activities. It begins with conversations like we're having now, more of a lecture, more of a seminar, a webinar where you're telling people what AI is and the possibilities, as well as the scary possibilities, that you're not shying away from the topic and that you don't look at it as a threat to your community, even though it might be threatening at times, and even though there's great concern. So we also have to talk about trust and transparency, about critical evaluation, that we look at it and we ensure that it enhances rather than undermines our trust. I remember I was teaching a group of residents in a retirement community that were 50 and older how to better use technology about 15 years ago. We were having a conversation about online banking. And we had a banking expert come in that started to share that online banking was the safest and most secure way to bank. And those in that age group were absolutely floored. And many of them didn't even trust the experts' words on this. In fact, they started to think, well, why would it be safer than using cash? Well, if anybody's ever counted change back in correctly to you, you can understand why that is. Or if you've ever lost your wallet and realized that that cash wasn't protected, there was nothing backing it up, versus the use of a debit card where there's an 800 number you can call, or you can stop by a branch and probably get it to be turned off rather quickly, and you can dispute those charges. Cash doesn't give you the same abilities. So now with mobile deposits and banking that's virtually all on our phone, it's almost unusual to hear somebody going into the bank. I did this the other day. I went into the physical branch, and I went up to the teller counter and they looked at me like I was really strange. They were like, "Oh, we don't use that anymore. You can go have a seat over there in the coffee station and somebody will come and get you when they're ready." I just needed them to reprint my debit card, but it seemed like more relationship based, more relationship focused. I also felt like it wasn't as efficient as just being able to walk right up to the counter and say, "This is what I need." It's about adapting to the world in which we live in today, and I know that it's different. It's different for you. It's different for me, and certainly as we kind of navigate this new world together, it's different for our patrons and our community. So the library needs to be the trusted place, not just the experts, but the ones that are willing, like always, to share knowledge, to share those resources. That's what you're about. So I encourage you to make sure that in some ways your community is being engaged from the library about this new technology that's only 50, 60 years old in the first place, but it feels new to a lot of people. So being able to embrace artificial intelligence, to be able to elevate your future, it requires a lot of new thinking, a lot of different paths. So the big takeaway, AI itself, it's not about doing the job for you. It's about giving you back the time and the energy to focus on the parts of librarianship that really matters most, which is serving your community. You can start small and kind of scale it smart. Pilot those chatbots or ask patrons to start using it in different ways to explore these different tools. We talked about a few of them today. We talked about how I really embrace ChatGPT, how my email uses something called Fixer, that I have a virtual assistant named Lucy that's prioritized toward me, so not something that you can go buy, but there's several out there that you can subscribe to. Some of them are free, some of them cost money. And you can use artificial intelligence to help you kind of figure out which one should you invest in and what free tools are out there that you would be able to use. So let AI help you. But be sure that regardless of what you're doing, regardless of where you're at, we have people literally from all over the country here, that you are leading the future, that you're guiding your community into smarter and more inclusive library experiences, and that artificial intelligence, it's an exciting way to get people in the door. There's a lot of people that have questions, a lot of people that have concerns, and there's a lot of excitement around it, and it spans all generations. Of course, our youth are already using it, but some of them, they're using it very minimally, and they're not really able to necessarily use it in school to the maximum results. But in business, more than 80% of small businesses are using it every hour of the day. And it means that the skill set that's being needed in your community, the skill set that's needed for our future, well, it doesn't just include artificial intelligence, it incorporates it. And we want you to think of ways that you can incorporate it in your community, that you can use it in your own personal life at your own personal library that really helps give you back that time, improve your efficiency, but also your effectiveness in the community. So that's the presentation for today. I wanted to leave time for questions or discussion that you might have, and we'll be happy to begin entertaining those now.
Thank you, Treg. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat and I will do my best to catch them.
Okay, it looks like we had a couple that came through already, Megan, so I'll kind of touch on those a little bit.
Oh,
And if you have other questions, go ahead and post those. Megan's going to be kind of sorting through them. The
mhm.
first one was, are there handouts? So the question is that, what comes after this, basically? Megan provides an opportunity for you to see the recording, but also you do have a PDF version that's sent out after this of the actual slides themselves. So you can go through them and kind of read back through and see maybe what you missed or what you want more information on. That's how we provide the handouts is via email. And then some of the tools that are used. So I had mentioned a few of them. ChatGPT and Copilot and Gemini, those are what we call generative artificial intelligent agents. Those are the ones that are kind of the primary users that I would say are brand new to AI. That's where I encourage you to begin. If you can use a search engine, you can use generative AI. In fact, if you can have a conversation, you can use generative AI. So being able to just kind of explore it and to get on, they do offer these in free versions. So whether using Microsoft's Copilot, I would say that that one, it's an okay place to start. What I don't like about it is that it has some security risks that the others don't have because it ties into your Microsoft Office product. So that means that that data is available whether you like it or not. And then the other ones are Google products or ChatGPT. I think those are less risky. One, you have to have a secured account, so that's really important. And then the other path with that is that you also have the access only to limit to yourself. So you don't have to share those chats with other people. Now, do they collect the big metadata on the back end? Yeah. They do. And that's, I guess, somewhat controversial, but you're providing that data all the time anyway. Your bank knows every purchase that you've ever made, right? Down to the penny. They know your habits. If you're using a web browser, as you surf along, it's following everything that you're doing on the computer. So that's the way to think about it is, yeah, you are providing data. Is the data secure? I think is the more important question. With things like ChatGPT and Google's Gemini, the answer is yes. That's where I would start if you're unfamiliar. Now, there's some other really cool ones out there. Lots of them are available to you, but Yeah, if you have the opportunity, I would say get on there, use ChatGPT or Gemini kind of first. If you're looking at data analysis and things like that, and you already have it in a spreadsheet like Microsoft Excel, go ahead and give Copilot a whirl on that as well. The most important thing, keep them conversational. Always start with the free version. If you start using it and feeling more comfortable with it, and you want to see the more incredible things it can do, absolutely the paid versions are better. They give you better access to algorithms as well as more recent or current data. If you're trying to do deep research and you need something like a PhD level, then absolutely the paid version of ChatGPT 5 has that. So that's that educational level. So you can kind of look through it. Otherwise, I would give ChatGPT's free version about like a sixth to eighth grade education. I think that's about where we're at with that.
Real quick, before we go into other questions, Maria Kinney asked, is there a link to the recording? And just real quick, I wanted to let everyone know that there will be a recording for this webinar once it is published to YouTube and I have transcribed everything. That link will be sent out in an email to all of you. Just be looking in your email for that. Also in the email will be contact information, LEUs if you have attended this webinar or from Indiana, and there will be other links as well. There is a question from Vanessa Burford that says, your opinion on Perplexity AI, please.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'll start by saying, remember, opinions are opinions, right? So everybody has an opinion. It doesn't mean that this is the right way to think about it or anything like that. But I do think that it is one that's pretty talented, that it's pretty informed. I like that it's fairly balanced, so it kind of removes some of the concerns about like, is it too much integration of AI? Is it not enough? Its capabilities are pretty balanced in that as well. It's a conversational search engine. I believe the last time we were in the webinar, I kind of referred to it as it's like the old Ask Jeeves, if anybody remembers ask.com. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But what I really appreciate about it is the quality of its abilities, especially for libraries to see the citations and to be able to click on them and actually double check. The other tool that I really enjoy is called ReciteWorks, and it allows you to upload like or to utilize as a Word plugin, for example, Microsoft Word, and then it actually is showing you on the document. So I like that one as well. So Perplexity, I'm going to give it an A minus, and I would say if you're looking for other tools like that, I would give it probably a look at ReciteWorks. The paid version, Perplexity Pro, I would give that just a solid A.
Thank you,
All
Trey.
in opinion. All in opinion.
This is great. And then Bridget Sullivan, she said that she likes to use Grok,
Yep.
GROK, for
Yep.
personal research. What's your
Yes.
opinion on
Yes.
that?
Well, my opinion on that is I am on my third Tesla, so I do appreciate Grok and the AI form for that. In terms of personal research, what I'll caution you on, and again, like I'm an avid user as well. What I'll caution you on is that there is implicit bias known in Grok. So DeepSeek's similar. You want to be a little bit careful because of the way that it's using the information. It is slanted. So just like reviewing your news sources, kind of be careful. Make sure that you're double checking. Are they trying to improve it? They say so. That's the goal. Is it where I would feel comfortable using it in a research model? I would not. Again, that's an opinion.
No, that I think this is very helpful. I'm getting the sense that no matter how these AI capabilities can be, we still need to use our critical thinking and we still need to use our
Absolutely.
human experience and judgment, and that this isn't taking place over that.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It requires you to constantly be reviewing, right?
Mm,
You to constantly be using the critical eye and to really think through it.
right.
Yeah.
Um, and Story Snyder said, could you share again what you said about your personal assistant that helps you with email?
Yes. Hi, Story. I hope to see you all in Brown County soon. So I use something on my email called Fixer, and if it is Fyxer, so Fixer AI. It integrates really well if you use like the Google like Gmail client or other really popular ones. And it will help you draft the responses. It helps you prioritize. So my inbox is color coded now. And it can help me see like, okay, here are all the ones that I need to respond to within 24 hours. And it helps draft it in a way that I would say 90% of the time of those emails that needed responses to right away, all I have to do is hit send.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I don't know. I wonder how much it saves me time-wise. I would think it's a lot. Um, because I get a lot of emails and it's hard to sort through, and I don't really have the time to sit there and look at it. Fixer is a paid service, but there is like a week free that they can give you so that you can check it out. So, a lot of these, it's like investigate them first, maybe even use something like ChatGPT and say, give me more opinions on this or tell me if this is the right tool for me. You can even say, like, ask me questions about my email that help me understand if Fixer is the right tool. So that's kind of how I would evaluate a lot of these things. And Megan knows, like, I'm a Quaker, so we have this process called clearness, where it's just somebody that's asking you questions till you discover the answer for yourself. And
Mhm.
that's how I use AI. I'm like, ask me questions so I know if this is the right decision. Ask me questions so I know if I should do this or that. And I let it help me discover my own truth rather than it just telling me the opinion or their truth. I think that helps sometimes, is usually if I get asked enough questions, the answer becomes clear, at least from my own personal experience. Again, more opinion.
At least it's just us having to make the final decision, and we don't have to wait for a complete yay or nay, which
Yeah,
can
yeah,
take a while in
absolutely.
Quaker.
You're right,
Maybe.
right. Exactly.
Um, this kind of goes into what you just said, and maybe you can kind of go a little deeper with it. Bethany Gray asks, how do you know which AI tools are better or worse regarding
Mhm,
bias? Any good sources to check to learn pros and cons of various AI tools? And I know you play around with a lot of these
mhm.
AI capabilities, so I assume it's just a lot of trial and error maybe, or but
Well,
can you
I'm
explain a
also
little
on the
deeper?
research end, so I'm also
Sure.
like, actually researching these in an academic setting. So it works a little differently for me, and that's where maybe some of the insight comes from, is that, I'm firsthand looking at the data, looking at the coding, looking at the results, and actually one of those people that's doing the evaluation. So, the bias comes from me, which is why I try to say often that it's just my opinion, because I do try to look at it through the eyes of multiple perspectives. And I think that's really how we understand bias, is recognizing which perspective is this coming from. Are there tools that help us figure it out? uh it depends, right? So if somebody is really pro one area, they're really going to push that it's the non-biased one or it's the correct one and that's the only one they know. And the further they go down that path, then the more illogical or the crazier they'll claim that the other one is. because it's so different than the bias they're used to. And I mean, we can look at that as we read as well, right? Or if we're consuming media, we're able to see like people that view just one viewpoint at a time will begin to think that the other viewpoint is just completely crazy and off base. Where the reality is probably they both are crazy and off base, and it's somewhere that combines certain thoughts and aspects of each. So I would say continue to rely on the experts, the ones that are discussing more neutrally and evaluating it more clearly. If you just Google it or if you just ask ChatGPT, it's going to give you a bias. So you're going to have to, maybe look at both sides of the conversation. And I would say, like, phrase the questions that way. Like, why is this the best tool? Why is this the worst tool? In what ways has this tool demonstrated bias? And in what ways has this demonstrated neutrality? And kind of make judgment for yourself. I don't think that there's like one good way yet of evaluating it because the evaluation tools, they have bias too. So that's
That's
a
ac-
perfect answer,
yeah,
non-answer.
that's actually a good way to kind of look at just research and just parts of our work in general too, when weighing that out. We are at 10:50, 10 minutes until we're done. If there's any more questions, please put them in the chat.
And I know some of you need time to digest, to process, maybe to review, and then come back to it. It's my email is on the screen there. I think Megan shared it as well. You're welcome to send me follow-up emails. But if you do have like questions and things that are coming up, Megan compiles those at the end. So just email her and then she'll give me all of them and then we respond, and that can be another handout if there are others that maybe we missed.
Yes, I just put our contact information in the chat, and I am also putting our 2025 training series for the rest of the year also in the chat. But again, I will be sending out an email with these links, with these contact information, and also with the link to this recording that will be on YouTube. Oh,
And don't forget to
everyone is
come
saying thank
October
you.
8th,
Yes, everyone
our
is saying
final
thank
in the
you so much.
series.
Yes, the next one I believe is in October 8th, I believe, and that will be the last one in these series. I've just been so fortunate that Dr. Treg has been willing to do this. It's been a great let's see, quartet.
It
Mona
looks like I had
says
a
it's very
question.
informative.
Had a
Oh,
question about the public reference desk and like what
yeah.
might be the most helpful tool. It also goes back to one that I mentioned in the presentation, which is Follow Its Destiny AI. I do think that's really good because it gives like on-demand book recommendations. It's conversational, so you can literally say like, "Hey, what are 10 great read alouds for a second grader?" Or what's the most up-to-date research article on this particular topic. It can give you real-time circulation insights. It can weed out inventory and that kind of thing. And it can even help you like understand like what events would be popular in your community. So that's a good one. But if you are just looking like for a lot of like recommendation type stuff and things that are not really specific to anything in particular within your database, if you're just like open to more general, I think ChatGPT right now is still the best option that we have. It's the best tool that we would be able to have. The paid version, you can literally ask it anything. You can have it generate flyers for you as well. So it's really good for the circulation desk to be able to entertain questions, to be able to help find titles and things like that. That would probably be the best one.
Mona responded and said, "Could you spell it, please?" The
Oh,
AI.
yes. So it's just Follett, Follett, and then it's their brand, or that's the brand. And then their product is called Destiny, Destiny. Some of you know, and some of you don't, meaning Megan's probably the only one that knows. But I did many years ago participate in the Morgan County Adult Literacy Coalition's Adult Spelling Bee, which I think may have just come up or recently passed while I've been in New Orleans.
Well, you passed. You
I
passed the spelling
passed. I
test.
passed. The year I was in it, I think there were only two of us. So it's grown to be a really good signature event. But back then it was early. So
Yes, it was. And while we're wrapping up, Carol Reeves says, "Thank you so much. AI becomes a lot less scary when people like you explain it." And that
that's
was
our
the
goal.
hope for this quartet that we've done with AI, is to take the fear out of it. I think we should be concerned with AI, but that's better than having a fear with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to stop the recording.